Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So today's video is going to be paying attention to the power creep. That is the individual player's strength. Now we're going to look at it from three perspectives. We're going to look at it from the developer's design of some systems in the game that seem to hinder this. We're going to look at it from the player and the player's knowledge of the game. And then we're going to look at it from the tools that are available. So that is gear, brand sets, weapons, skills, all the things that are available to be able to do well and feel powerful in your progression from normal all the way to getting to legendary. Because as crazy as it sounds, legendary difficulty is achievable by every single player in this game. The only thing is, there is the time and the work that it takes to actually creep up to that level. And that progression is actually different for every individual player. Some people do not have the time, and I've mentioned this in past videos, and I'm glad one of my other subscribers actually brought this up. You know, some people don't have the time to invest as consistently as other folks in some of the harder missions within the game. So let me use my experience because that is what I'm quite certain about. I could use other people's experiences that have been shared with me, and I think it will be worthwhile to do so. Now, before the entire situation and the quarantine and all that, I had always, been a regular, 40 hours or maybe more a week kind of person. Drive to work in the morning, get work done, come back home, even get some extra stuff done based on work, and then hop into the division for a couple of hours, hopefully be able to find some things I need to make videos, and then, put those videos out, put discussion videos out and all of that. So altogether, my work week is basically, more than the regular work week because I do YouTube as well and all of that. And then I also have family commitments as well, for those of you who, also know this. And so I remember when Warlords of New York came out, some of my favorite streamers, Solid FPS, and I'm gonna mention you, Macho. Macho is one of the newer, upcoming streamers and content creators in this game right now. If you haven't checked this content out, go check it out. Very, very, impressive approach to the Division game. You're looking at guys like Identity, and like I don't, and some other guys that I usually watch. These guys are already doing some of the harder content, like in the very first few days of this patch released. Like literally on day 2, they were already beating legendaries and doing tutorials and all that stuff. I, as a content creator, not having so much time, not having like a dedicated hardcore clan to play with, I couldn't do these tutorials on the very first few days. So what did that entail? Imagine me watching another content creator stream going, man, this guy's just mowing down heroic enemy NPCs, and I can't even step out of the base of operations on challenging. Like, I get melted. So I felt that same pressure, be it for a short period of time. And then all I had to do was just kind of tell myself, what is my reality? So once I answered that question, I eventually got to a point where I was just satisfied with what I was doing at the time that I was doing it. And I like making tutorials for legendary missions. I made the tutorials for the legendary missions from the Division 1. And so I thought, man, this would be interesting to make. But I could not get to that level on day 1. So I just started farming my way little by little. And I think one misconception that a lot of people carried was that at normal difficulty, you get trash gear. Actually, that is not the case. At normal difficulty, you also have a chance of getting just as good gear as any other difficulty in the game. In fact, in the Warlords of New York 3-hour post reveal stream, the developer said you do have a higher chance at higher difficulties to get max rolled and better items. But there's nowhere that they said there is zero chance of getting good rolls on normal level, difficulty. And many people can attest, while you can read through the comment section, people have been talking about getting max rolls in normal difficulty, especially those who had already passed the normal difficulty, helping other people on normal level content and just seeing quality gear dropping from there. I think that is the aspect of the player's progression that we probably need to, kind of highlight, which then ties into like I said, the developer systems that have basically hindered a lot of the progression progress or even the enjoyment, which is by the time you actually get to heroic difficulty, you're going to find out that it doesn't really get as rewarding as you would have expected it to be, because this is how the progression system, I think, was designed. They probably want you to be able to get decent stuff and even maybe some nice stuff, max rolled items or high rolls on normal, so that you can progress to hard. Then hard, you're probably going to get some decent stuff, maybe not too much, so that you can eventually get your recalibration library good and then progress to challenging, if you understand what I mean. So when you get to challenging, then, start working your way, making your build all solid, and then finally making it to heroic. And then from heroic, you get to legendary. But then the reward systems in challenging, even heroic and legendary, sometimes are not up to par. Challenging is the worst in my experience. Heroic is at least better, but they have talked about how they're going to, they've increased basically the minimum rolls at the higher level difficulty. So if you're getting a roll drop from a boss or something, it cannot be lower than a specific, number of values there. Now, chests are still up for grabs because Chris Gansler, I don't know why he said this. He said opening a chest requires no effort. I was like, so you just justified trash gear? Wow. I mean, that blew my mind. That's why I was like, okay, you don't play your game enough and you're just talking about, you're talking nonsense. As much as I say, oh, Chris, I respect some of your, your approach towards the game, your no nonsense attitude. That statement was absolutely asinine. Just to put that out there. And so that's basically where, we look at. And then the third aspect is the player knowledge of the game. And this is where the player eventually gets enough experience, enough knowledge, and the experience is by doing. It's not always by watching, some YouTuber or always, finding out what is the best in slot item. It's just by doing and by learning, and by even getting tips from other people in the community. So one thing many people, probably didn't notice, and I didn't point it out, was by the time I played my first, heroic mission, I beat it. And then I showed my builds that I used for it. And that same build, I'd already done the build video, and then the next day I took the build and beat the mission, and somebody said, hey, you need to add a mod to your mask. I played the whole mission and I missed out on like 11% or however much percent critical hit damage or headshot damage I could have added to that mask. So I lost just all that damage potential for a build that's basically a crit build. I left it on the table, not even paying attention to that. Then I said, all right, I'm going to go put a mod. Well, I forgot. Didn't put the mod again and did the other one. But then somebody had also said, yo, if you're running Survivalist, why not use the Seeker Mine? It heals better and it has a better cooldown. I said, all right, I'll try it. That thing saved my life because I don't have to worry about healing. The moment my health reaches a lower threshold, it pops it automatically. And I'm like, this is supposedly my favorite specialization. And I'm just unaware of how good its healing capability is with that specific mod. So these are the aspects that actually, in my opinion, have allowed for me to, gain some, some more increase and some, just better, progression throughout the game. And that is including the time that it took. Think about Warlords of New York coming out March 2nd and all that time, including the quarantine, because my work has a different schedule. And so we were kind of on holiday before everybody said, no, work from home. We had spring break. I work in the education system. And so add all that time together, what you're going to see is that's how long it took me to get to the point where I could comfortably just solo these missions with a lot more playtime. If we were going to work 20, like we were normally, I probably would not have gotten there. I don't think so. I think the time and the effort is where it's at. So when I watch, content creators invest hours and hours into the game, and that makes me go like, man, this is crazy. I have to realize that many of them are doing it as their full-time job. And so their progression is definitely going to outclass mine naturally. And most of them also have player skill that I have not attained in shooter games. If you go look at their profile, you look at Wids' profile, you look at Solid FPS's profile, Solid FPS used to be a professional gamer. So when he's knocking out headshots like it's water, that's from years and years of practice and investment. It didn't happen in a day. I'm a casual guy. I don't expect to be knocking out headshots just cause. I play soccer games. That's the one I'm really good at. I play fighting games. I'm proficient at those. Not as good, but way better than my division playing for sure. And so those are the games because of their nature. A fighting game I can get in knock out a few games more easier than I can come in here and clean out my stash. The amount of time I take to clean out the trash loot that I get, I would have knocked out like an entire, day's challenge on Mortal Kombat. 45 minutes, and I've played 5 games. I've logged in more hours in that game than I have Division, and I play that game side by side with Division. That's crazy, but it's more, directed at casual and also a power increase and a power creep. Anyways, I wanted to make sure that we actually talked about this just so that we can see that everyone's reality is very different. Now, the other side too that people have complained about is it seems like the game is catering to a minority, which is YouTubers and streamers and all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the reality. Video game companies do this a lot. I play Mortal Kombat 11, heavily invested in that. I've been playing on PS4, 2 different accounts, investing almost the same amount of time. I probably have 4 times my Division hours in Mortal Kombat 11. And the reason it took me that long is because I had to learn. There are times where a gaming company will make decisions based on what some of the more hardcore players are actually doing. And that's not uncommon. As sad as it may be, it is a reality. And I think that's why in these systems, we see multiple variables for every different kind of player. But I think the thing is every player has to understand where they lie, where their role is, where their power and where their capabilities are. I'm doing heroic missions in 30 minutes, and I have comments here telling me people that are doing it for 15 minutes. I don't think I'm going to get to 15 minutes for a heroic mission like tomorrow. I just finished the 30-minute runs just, in the past few days. How do I expect to reduce that time? It would take me just constantly playing. Maybe I might need better gear. Maybe I need a new monitor. I use a 1080p monitor. I don't know. Some people are probably able to do it on console faster than I am. Maybe I'm just giving excuses. But that is a reality I have to come to terms with. And I feel like we need to get that understanding. Now, again, to the final aspect, and I will say this on every video, there is the problem of the armor system. The armor system does not have any defining values that interacts with the enemy damage output. If a player has 300k armor and they're full glass cannon, I can understand that player being shredded. I can understand that player getting melted by enemy NPCs. And even if they don't have glass cannon, 300,000 armor should be a very, huge fraction, because I think the max armor you can get in the game right now is close to 2 million. But then the person with 2 million armor is also getting melted just as fast. There is no variable difference or significant difference that you can tell from both systems. And that is the one thing that needs to be fixed in general, because I think the developers are just in a place like, well, and I can almost guess this. The players want us to nerf the game again. But no, you need to fix your armor system. If I run in my 3 tank builds that I run three tank builds on my main character, and I run maybe 2 on my other account. I run high armor tank builds. I don't run the high skill technician version. I run the high armor version because I don't know. I just like doing it because of the tardigrade stuff. That's why I do it, because it gives my teammates extra armor, and I want that armor to be significant for them. If they fix armor, the tardigrade chest piece will single-handedly be the best item in the game. It will knock out everything else, but that's what it's supposed to be. A tank is supposed to be a significant part of a game where enemy NPCs are dealing intense amounts of damage. So imagine if they fix the armor system and you have one tardigrade holster, one tardigrade person in your team, and that guy is just giving out armor and a 45-second cooldown. He's doing his job. If 4 people have the tardigrade armor system, then they need to be impregnable. They need to be an impregnable team. And that's exactly what it needs to be. Now, not everyone's going to run that, but the glass cannon guy, who's a DPS person, can now feel much more comfortable gaining 80% of a tank's armor because he will need it. And he can also do his job as a full flat-out DPS player, and this now enhances the entire game's experience. So I see a lot of comments and I see a lot of these, conversations, but I don't necessarily think that we're harnessing the issue and pinpointing what exactly the major flaw is. If you fix and tune the armor system, I can almost guarantee you will improve the gameplay experience immensely. It's not going to fix everything that's problematic in the game, but I can guarantee it that it will change the way players build. Players are going to have to say, if I'm running into this mission right now and I have 15%, weapon damage on all my gear, I don't expect to be able to pop my head out of cover too much. I expect to be melted if an enemy NPC catches a hold of me. But what if I sacrificed an extra 15% weapon damage to be able to stay out of cover a little longer and roll my 170,000 armor there? Is that going to be good for me? If it is, then a player ought to be able to roll it comfortably. And I think if that system was in place, then we would gain an understanding of where we are. Armor kits will make more sense. The specialization choices will make more sense. I mean, think about it. A survivalist, even though you have some good healing, your armor kit is not necessarily the greatest for you in a solo play. But if you're using Firewall, if you're using the gunner specialization, those med kits are very, very good. I mean, the way they pack our armor back to you. So you as a solo player can now go leverage those systems and not just say, well, I want to run sharpshooter because, that's all I can get that, to give me damage. But, you can say I can run these because I'll gain survivability. So there are so many aspects to this game. It's very complex. But I feel like this one system, survivable system that the developers are yet to figure out what in the world they're going to do with it is a problem. And to be very honest, I think just like skills were when the game first came out, it was nowhere. I mean, basically what we have today compared to the launch of the game with skills is literally the difference between gold and wood. I kid you not. I mean, it was just in a bad place. So I think right now they just have not been willing to figure out exactly what the armor system should look like. And that's exactly where they need to focus their attention when it comes to gameplay, survivability, player enjoyment, and significance of why you're investing in that stat anyways. Anyways, that's it from me. Thank you so much for your time and audience. I appreciate you guys so much. Hit the comment section. Let's continue the conversation, and I want to hear your thoughts. Anyways, that's it. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.